Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. History will be made in Nunavut tomorrow. Devolution is coming to the territory. 25 years after Nunavut became a territory, its government will sign an agreement to take over land and resource responsibility from the Government of Canada. That is according to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's itinerary, which announced tonight that he'll be in Iqaluit tomorrow to sign the historic deal. Devolution means Nunavut will get control over its land and waters and have the final say in decision-making over development projects. It's the last hurdle in transferring Crown powers to the territory. Nunavut is the last territory to sign a devolution deal. The Yukon signed in 2003, and the Northwest Territories signed in 2014. And of course, we'll have full coverage of the historic signing from Iqaluit on Northbeat tomorrow. Tune in to hear from CBC journalists and Nunavut leaders on the details of the agreement and what it means for Nunavut's present and future. A Nunavut minister has resigned from the territorial government's cabinet after being stripped of his portfolios by the Premier. Premier PJ Akyaguk said in a statement today that Julie Kernick resigned voluntarily after Akyaguk stripped him of his cabinet portfolios for violating the MLA Code of Conduct. Kernick was Minister of Culture and Heritage, Languages, and was responsible for the Kudlik Energy Corporation. He was sworn into cabinet on September 23rd. Kernick is still an MLA representing the electoral district of Amatuk. MLAs also suspended him from the Legislative Assembly in June 2022 for several days for being intoxicated in the legislature. At the time, he said he was seeking help. Akyaguk said he'll bring the matter forward at the next full caucus meeting. In the meantime, 2 other ministers will split his roles. Kernick is the 4th cabinet minister to resign since the last territorial election in 2021. Nunavut's Office of the Chief Coroner will conduct an inquest into the death of a man in a police-involved shooting in Qinghai. Atachi Ashuna was fatally shot by police in February of 2020. Ottawa Police Services conducted an investigation into Ashuna's death later that year and cleared the officer of criminal wrongdoing. At the time, Nunavut RCMP took the unusual step of releasing details of the incident. RCMP said Ashuna was killed because he went after an officer in his home while brandishing a knife. The coroner's office says the inquest will explore the circumstances around Ashuna's death and consider recommendations to prevent death in similar circumstances. The inquest will take place at Qinghai's Community Hall starting on February 5th. A fire in Iqaluit forced residents out of their homes late last night. The fire started just before 11 p.m. yesterday and was put out shortly after. The city of Iqaluit says 5 people were taken to hospital because of smoke inhalation and minor injuries. 1 unit was affected and those residents have been displaced. But most residents in the nearby 2700 public housing block are back in their homes today. The RCMP is investigating the cause of the fire. Dawson City will stick with its original plan for the town's new recreation centre. Dawson's mayor had hoped to talk about a new location for the building at a council meeting last night, but as Chris McIntyre tells us, he didn't even get the chance.
Mayor Bill Kendrick wanted to debate a motion on moving the building, but no town councillors would second the motion. Kendrick says he's disappointed his fellow councillors weren't more open to the idea. Kendrick says he supports council's wishes, but he feels there should have been more dialogue.
When a council colleague, puts together a report and there is staff ready to talk about it, generally speaking, you move things to the floor to discuss, and then you can vote it down afterwards. But yeah, there's no seconder. It's unfortunate that we couldn't discuss it, but the decision of council now is to move forward with the bottom of the dome.
Kendrick thinks the rec center should be moved from just outside of the downtown core to an open lot behind the RCMP detachment in Dawson. The reason? To make it more accessible and to cut operating costs. Instead, the town will stick with the original plan and keep the facility at the bottom of the Dome Road. Now that the plan is back on track, Kendrick says a local advisory committee will be formed to guide the process. He says the next step is to draw up new plans for a less expensive alternative.
The original plan was expected to cost $95 million, but the Yukon government says it's only willing to spend $65. Chris McIntyre, CBC News, Dawson City.
The Yukon Fish and Wildlife Management Board has a new ungulate working group. Ungulates are animals with hooves like moose and caribou. The working group will explore how to manage those animals in the territory. That includes tackling issues like hunting opportunities, harvesting, and habitat loss. Michelle Dawson-Beatty is the chair of the working group. She says she's looking forward to hear what Yukoners say about ungulate management.
We are going to come out with an ungulate management framework that communities can use and adapt to what their specific needs are. Like we've mentioned before, this is just really about empowering community-based fish and wildlife management, ungulate management. And, it's just a collaborative way to bring everybody together because we all care about these animals.
Dawson-Beatty says the working group wants to support community-based initiatives. She says that includes traditional knowledge, and she says the group will provide a toolbook on ungulates that communities can use as a resource. Health authorities across Canada are warning about a sharp increase in cases of invasive streptococcus A. While it's usually associated with milder infections, the bacteria can be very dangerous and it can turn fatal fast. Lauren Pelly reports.
We'd always read a book before bed.
Christina Heckes says her daughter Quinn started feeling sick last March, just a few weeks shy of her 6th birthday.
We did the things every parent does, the Tylenol, the Advil.
By phone, a doctor told Heckes it was likely just a lingering cold. Suddenly, her daughter took a turn.
Her breathing is labored. Nothing's happened with her fever. It's been 3 days. I said, okay, that's it, no more. We're going to the hospital.
X-rays showed Quinn had pneumonia, and later tests showed her organs were failing. She died within hours.
I don't know how to tell other people how fast it was. My daughter was sitting, watching a movie, having a conversation with her nurses, and not 6 hours later, she was gone.
The cause, a common bacterial infection. Group A streptococcus is usually linked to milder illness like strep throat. But in some cases, bacteria invade the bloodstream, rapidly causing sepsis, even death. New national data provided to CBC News shows infections have spiked, with 4,600 reports of invasive strep A by the end of 2023, the highest annual total recorded in Canada.
So we've been seeing an increased level of invasive group A streptococcal disease.
Ontario officials say in that province, 48 people have died this season, including 6 children.
It's really difficult, of course, for the families and those caring for them. It's something we're tracking closely.
2 people have died so far this year in New Brunswick. And in December, BC officials warned there were twice as many cases of invasive strep among people under 20 than the province expected. Warning signs include a fever, dizziness, confusion, or intense pain. Those symptoms require fast medical attention and antibiotics. But
even though that's the right drug for the right bug, there isn't a 100% success rate.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Parts of BC continue to feel the wrath of winter. Up to 20 centimeters of snow are expected to fall in some areas before the storm eases later today. All that snow has shut down the schools in the Vancouver area and created commuter delays, canceled flights, and power outages. But as Lindsay Duncombe reports, some locals are finding ways to enjoy it.
This rare snow day in Vancouver and throughout the Lower Mainland has brought both joy and frustration. The frustration really is anyone needing to get anywhere today. There are delays on public transit. The buses are using the shorter buses, not the longer ones, because they're more agile. The SkyTrain had to run overnight to prevent the snow from accumulating on the tracks. And in terms of accumulation, that can cause cause problems for power as well. There are currently thousands of BC Hydro customers who do not have power right now because of all of the snow. So that's the frustration, but there certainly is a whole lot of joy. School is out. College, university, it's out too. And that means people are out enjoying all of that snow. From snowmen to sledding to even skiing, this certainly is a lot of fun for many people.
Yeah, I love snow. So fun to make snowmen.
They love it. Kids love it. I always take them to Cyprus when it's not snowing down here, but it's convenience now.
Well, it's very fun and it's snowing. And the last couple of weeks, it didn't snow, so it's very fun that it snowed.
As fun as this is, it will likely be short-lived. Freezing rain is in the forecast, so people are getting out here and enjoying it while they can. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
This is the CFBC's largest attachment, home to elite units, federal and municipal scope. Congratulations on making the cut.
Have you spoken with your father?
I'm coming for you and everyone like you. I would rather be Baroque than blue. There's lots of reasons to not be a cop. And a Surrey girl should know all of them.
Maybe you should reconsider the uniform and everything that it represents.
I'd rather fight from inside it to make a change.
Why, hello. It's me, Seth Rogen. 10 potters will be facing off in the most extraordinary ceramics competition show that this country has ever seen.
I'm Jen Robertson, and I'll be your host.
So are these potters ready?
This exploded.
To test their skills at the wheel and push themselves every week?
Oh, no. So the ones that do stand out, they really do stand out.
And who will be named champion?
I'm excited to see it. Oh, wow!
Of the Great Canadian Pottery Throwdown.
It appears we have a mystery to solve.
You will be next.
He's dead. A murderer. He's murdered.
Toronto Constabulary, stop!
Here we go.
Make it mini!
I'm gonna push it. Let's go.
My hands are shaking.
This is all very overwhelming. Don't expect anything normal.
I can't believe it. I'm here.
When a basketball net broke at the Wati school last year, it took months and the return of a police officer who loves the sport to get it replaced. Luke Carroll tells us why.
RCMP Corporal Wesley Alexander Neal says he's kind of obsessed with basketball.
I was in Edmonton before I was here. I was in a couple leagues there. I always play on teams 2-3 nights a week. It's just something I enjoy. It's a good therapy for myself.
Which is why he was disappointed when he went to the school gym one day last year.
Anyways, I come in one day and I see that one of the rims was just gone from the net. Like the welding had just like snapped right off. So I asked a couple teachers what had happened, because obviously we need both nets. And they said, yeah, we were literally just shooting around. One of the balls hit the rim and it just fell and hit the ground.
Neal moved away for about a year. And when he moved back, he discovered the net still hadn't been fixed. So he started organizing a nearly $10,000 fundraiser with some other community organizations to get 2 new glass backboards, new rims, and new mesh. Bryce Glendenning is the principal of the Mezzi School. He says the new nets are much appreciated by the students and the community.
We're really appreciative of the Mounties in the community, and that they've just done such an awesome job with, running programs and injecting energy into this town, and we just hope that they keep it up.
Neal says basketball is every Tuesday and Thursday, and all in Wati are welcome. Luke Carroll, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Now to another kind of recreation, but this one is for the adrenaline junkies, ice road racing. Dozens of drivers in Northern Ontario head out to the racetracks each winter on frozen Lake Superior. When you're racing on ice, you have to be fast and loose, but stay in control. Take a look.
Ice racing is based on road racing.
Obviously it's done in the winter, but we plow out a course that has left and right turns. First is, dirt track, which is strictly an oval, but this is approximately 1.8 kilometers of road course on ice, turning left and right. And ice racing's been around for, as far as I know, it started around Thunder Bay in around the early to mid 50s. And has carried on. It's had its, just like any sport, it has its highs and its lows in regards to interest. We're on a building curve right now. There's clubs across Canada and into the US. And we have an orientation package that we go over with the new teams, and it's all about car control. And when you're a new team or a new driver out there, is to take your time, learn your car, learn your competition, learn the track.
I don't have very many expectations because it's my first day, but it was my first practice round just now, and it went well. I didn't put it in the snowbank, so this is my first day out. We missed the first 2 weekends, but we're out now.
It feels really great. This is our third weekend out, and being it's a colder temperature today, the snow dust is a little bit of a challenge for visibility, but we're all having some really good fun out there.
Oh, it's awesome. It makes the snowy, cold conditions feel like not as, terrible cold and everything. So it's exciting in there. When I'm out there, when I come into a big turn, I'll rock it back and forth, and then kind of just slide it into the drift. Everyone's like a big family out here, so you come out and enjoy your time with friends. And if you need help, there's always help to be, around you. So it's great.
Over the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of people come out. We're probably in around about 400 to 500 people that have been on site each day, and people just they're enjoying they're obviously car enthusiasts, but they have their family out here, young children, older adults. It's everybody are just have been coming out here for many years and really are happy to see the sport back.
I just want them to have a good time, and hopefully we don't have any problems, so they can see us race, and hopefully they enjoy it this year because they couldn't come last year.
Like every time I came here, it's like amazing to see like ice racing though, because I'm from China. I never see those in China, so yeah, it's amazing.
This is the first time I've been out this year. I haven't been out in a few years, but I'm glad to see so many people out this time of year, even if it's cold. The racing in the warmer months, you're on dirt, and it's a lot more predictable than ice. Ice is not predictable. It's frozen water, and things slide around on it. So, it's fun watching them bounce off the snowbanks, and so it looks like lots of fun.
I just like going fast. I just love racing. It's fun.
As food prices continue to rise and the cost of living crisis deepens, some communities across Canada have turned to community fridges and pantries. They're volunteer-driven and another way to help people deal with food insecurity. The CBC's Paul Palmer explains how they're a vital service for those in need near Halifax.
This is the most important, is the milk.
Making a trip to the Dartmouth Community Fridge has become a regular part of Diane Kennedy's life.
I'm telling you, I don't think people realize the impact it does on people's lives.
Kennedy also hits food banks regularly because she is on a fixed income and has an adult son who needs medication. At one point, she and her son were living in a U-Haul trailer.
Like, this feeds me and my son. This enables me to have fresh milk and potatoes. I mean, sometimes you have like lots of soup there, lots of bread there. There's plenty sometimes.
Ray Nagus is in his early 60s and can no longer work because he has kidney cancer. He says the food from the fridge is a game changer for him and others.
It helps a lot of people out here. I see people coming here and going all the time. It's a lifesaver.
I buy some stuff, but you don't get enough all the time because you can't afford enough, right? And when I'm short, that's the only time I come down, right? I'm down to get, if I can get them. And I get them, I'm happy, I'm grateful.
The fridge operates under the take what you need, leave what you can mantra and is run by volunteers. While much of the food is donated, some of it is purchased with money that is also donated to the group. Christine Nodegard is one of their shoppers and picks up groceries at a discount grocery store, packs them into her car, and then delivers them to the community fridge. She packs a pantry with non-perishable goods on one side and then will move over to a fridge on the other side. It's located in a small structure next to a church in downtown Dartmouth.
People who access food from the fridge are really just anyone in the community. Times are really hard for people. A lot of people are struggling to make ends meet. So we have a lot of seniors, students, people on fixed incomes.
Many Nova Scotians are struggling with food insecurity, with the price of groceries soaring at stores like Sobeys and Atlantic Superstore. Food banks are also being heavily used, particularly by people who are on fixed incomes. In nearby Cole Harbour, Lindsay Watts gathers food for her family from another community fridge. She says the extra food makes a big difference for her.
It's been tough, starting on my own about 7 years ago, and I've had to depend on food banks and these community fridges to help me out.
The Cole Harbour fridge opened in October. The number of people needing to use it continues to grow.
We think that they're very vast and that a lot of people who are newly food insecure are experiencing looking for resources for the first time.
With no end in sight to the growing issue of food insecurity, more of these community fridges will likely continue to pop up in neighborhoods around the province. Paul Palmeter, CBC News, Dartmouth.
It's the time of year when many of us are setting resolutions, and getting your finances on track may be at the top of that list. If so, here's some advice.
My name is Loren Kenya-Franca, and I'm an accredited financial counselor Canada. So when I work with clients, my hope is to help people to create something that's more sustainable and more of a reciprocal relationship with their money. So I think identifying areas that you overspend in is one of the best first steps to approaching increasing money in your budget and being able to save a little bit more regularly. Here are 5 things that you can do to reduce overspending in the new year. A great way to approach your money, as opposed to wants and needs, is to look at money in terms of emotional and non-emotional spending. Emotional spending are things that have an increased risk of overspending. They have no deadline and no consequence if you don't spend on them. So these are things like clothing and gifts and eating out. And non-emotional spending are things that usually have a deadline and a consequence if you don't pay them. And there's no emotional lift, there's no dopamine when you spend more. So the best way to reduce overspending on the emotional spending is to separate that spending into a different account. When it comes to emotional spending, ensuring that you have an account where you can spend downward rather than upward is really important to help you to be aware of how much you have and how much you've spent. So for example, a debit card or a prepaid credit card product that maybe alerts you when you spend versus something like a credit card where you can spend upward and lose track. When you're first sort of making an adjustment to how you spend, keeping track, it can be really important, and it can be as simple as writing things down as you spend them. I would have most of my clients start is by gathering all of their financial information. All of the bills that you pay weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, even quarterly and annually, so that you have a real idea of how much it costs to run your household every month. Another great step is automating, if you're able, the bills that come up regularly for you, so that you're not having to use up your decision-making throughout the day to something that can be delegated to AI. So at the beginning of the year, it's really easy to make very lofty goals, and I would encourage you to pull it back and make sure that it's a reasonable goal and that you focus on one thing at a time. You know, the more that we're looking at cutting back spending in 15 places, the less likely we'll be successful in the long term, and the less likely we'll get sustainable results and avoid being in this exact same situation next year. In order to be really successful with a budget, regardless of how you make your money, try to only plan with the money that you have in your bank account right now, as opposed to what you anticipate getting in the future. Unexpected things can come up and emergencies arise, and sometimes what we anticipate receiving isn't what actually hits our bank account, and then we find ourselves in a deficit. So I always recommend to use only what you have on hand, and as money comes in, make a new plan versus forecasting forward. If you want to learn more, A great website to visit is the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada's website. What else is great is it's going to give you lots of suggestions for things that you might not have thought of if you're just getting started with a budget. If you're looking to work with someone one-on-one, I recommend checking if they are an AFCC or an Accredited Financial Counselor Canada. That will let you know that they have a high ethical standard of practice and a fiduciary responsibility to you to ensure that they're acting in your best interest.
Some really great tips there for all of us. That is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. We leave you with a look at the weather across the north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.
What do I like? I like open fires, moonlit nights, chatty letters, rainy days. I like daydreaming. I love this colorful little island of ruby, emerald, and sapphire. Yet often my dark moods come. I'm possessed body and soul by this depression. They say women shouldn't write. Some days I almost give up. But I cannot contain my imagination. I made Anne real. I gave her my love of nature, my love of books, and my childhood dreams. My greatest happiness would be to climb the alpine path and write upon it a woman's humble name.
Lucy Maud Montgomery battled depression, rejection, and sexism to become known around the world for Anne of Green Gables and 19 other novels.
Closing this case gets you one step closer to you getting back on the squad and keeping you out of prison.
You're not a detective, you're a con artist. You have a driver's license, right?
Of course, I have 9. If you couldn't be a cop, what would you be?
Nothing. My dad raised me to be a cop. That's who I am. Stay here.
You're adorable.
You guys are making this entire station look like a circus.
He's busy trying to solve a murder. What are you doing?
Thanks for having my back.
Look at you.
This your girlfriend? This is not my girlfriend. She's way too cool to be your girlfriend. She's not way too cool to be my girlfriend.
Who's that?
He's fired!
I'm starting to think you don't know what a joke is.
You're gonna eat nothing but raw spleen. Getting into peak physical shape is 50% training, 50% diet.
Yeah.
Never occurred to me to bring lawn chairs out here.
Never occurred to the Egyptians to build the pyramids until it did.
Oh! Simpler times.
Let's set you up with a lunch date.
You're deaf? I don't know sign.
This feels a little round.
If accessibility is wrong, we don't want to be right.
Spicy.
Oh, do tell.
Breaking news. The critics are talking. Oh, this is it. Imagine the Wonder Years if it were written by Gene Shepard. They twisted it all up.
No, you can't trust a newsman.
Highly recommended.
Onwards.
Onwards.
Heartwarming.
This doesn't mean I'm better than anyone here tonight. It just says it.
100% fresh.
Well, I suppose we don't need to get rid of the cable right this second.
Son of a Critch.
You look like a cod gasping for air.
Name something you see people do on TV that you secretly could do better. Host. I knew that was hard.
Family Feud Canada. Watch free on CBC Gem.
We want you to know that you can ask us anything. Need help with your Riz?
You just made Riz uncool. There is something that's been bothering me. Are mutual funds or ETFs better for my long-term goals?